my siblings and I kind of fell in love with hip hop, and we were like writing raps and stuff in the basement when we were like kids. When I was like 8 years old, they were pretty bad raps. I hope they never surface.
The
We
cassette
loved it.
tape will make it out somehow.
Right, exactly.
So this podcast is all about you and your journey in music and how you got to where you are now. And first off, I want to say you played wide receiver for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
I did, yeah. I walked on many years ago, but
Oh my gosh, my family's all from Cleveland. They're all huge, but one of my uncles went to Ohio State.
Oh, okay. All right, that's what's up, man.
Yeah,
You know how they get down.
I went and saw a couple games. It's crazy. I mean, when it's game day there, it's like 100,000 people in the stands. Not one person is wearing the other team's gear.
The whole city kind of shuts down. It's like, honestly, it's like I hate to say it, but it's like a religious ceremony almost in the whole.
No, it really is. We went to this place. What's it called? Varsity Club right next door, and then it's just like everyone's throwing cans on the ground because there's like no bottles, and they just like bulldozer it up after or something.
It's nuts, bro. It's nuts.
Oh, that is so cool. I saw that. I was like, no way. That's amazing.
Where are you?
I'm in Nashville now, but I'm originally from San Diego, California. Okay. But I guess my parents both grew up in Cleveland or on the outskirts of Cleveland, and then my dad's youngest brother ended up going to Ohio State, and so we've been fans and follow Ohio State football for my whole life.
I love it.
So super cool, man. Well, first off, tell me where were you born and raised? Were you born in Ohio?
Yeah, I was actually born and raised in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh wow!
All my siblings, my parents both went to Ohio State. I'm the youngest of four. All my siblings went to Ohio State. So by the time it was time for me to decide, it wasn't really much of a choice. But I mean, I was born and raised at Buckeyes, so yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And so how did you get into music?
It's interesting. When I was first of all, when I was young, like 4, I was breakdancing for people in the neighborhood and stuff like that. Like,
wow.
Always kind of loved kind of the hip hop music and culture. But also my parents, and particularly my dad, he was always playing all kinds of music when we were growing up. Not just hip hop, obviously. He was playing, Marvin Gaye, Earth, Wind and Fire, Bob Marley, Prince. And my siblings and I kind of fell in love with hip hop, and we were like writing raps and stuff in the basement when we were like kids. When I was like 8 years old, they were pretty bad raps. I hope they never surface.
The cassette tape will make it out somehow.
Right, exactly. And so it's just kind of I was born into a family that really cared and loved for music, and that kind of fostered my like desire to be a musician. And ultimately I joined a band with my brother. My brother and I started a band when I was in high school. I was a drummer and and stuff like that. We played all kinds of music, alternative hip hop, pop, funk, all kinds of stuff. So that was really where it started, and it just never left me.
Wow. So you're a drummer. Was that the first like instrument you picked up?
That was the first, and only instrument I picked up, and kind of self-taught.
Wow.
So it was I haven't played in a long time, so if I got on right now, it might sound a little rusty, but yeah, it was fun. And just kind of playing different types of music and exploring your creative side. Being in a band, you can do that in jam sessions. You can, you know what I mean? You can just stuff that nobody else will ever hear, but it gives you an opportunity to kind of see what you're good at and what sounds good. So it's
that's
fun.
Cool. So you guys would play like local shows and stuff?
Yeah, we played a lot of local shows. We actually played at Ohio State's campus at
wow,
big show. That was pretty fun. We had like 1,000 people came. It was or something.
Wow.
It was really cool. So but we it was interesting because my brother bought like a ton of equipment. He maxed out credit card and bought like the drum set and the electronic drum set and the guitar and all the bass for all of us. And then he ended up buying a synthesizer, which was a great gift and a curse probably, because my cousin and I, when he wasn't there, my cousin and I would be in the basement, and my brother was the lead singer and lead guitarist. So when he's not there, we didn't really have a band. So we would end up playing around on the synthesizer, trying to make beats and stuff like that. And that's how we ended up actually starting to rap. Creating our own stuff. But we're not beat makers now, but that's what kind of got us into, day to day, like just trying to make raps and beats and stuff like that.
Wow. And all while doing that, you're obviously playing football. you know, you
Yes.
can't just walk on to Ohio State.
High school, I was athlete my whole life, played multiple sports in high school, and obviously ended up playing football. And so I was just juggling a lot, juggling academics. I was a really good student, and then I actually got a full ride academic scholarship to Ohio State.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I was invited to be a walk-on to Ohio State, so it's kind of perfect. You know what I mean? Like a perfect scenario. I could have played at smaller schools and and Ivy League schools and stuff like that, but that really wasn't my passion.
But why?
Ohio State, or at least be on the team. I don't want to say I played. I was on the team.
But still, I mean, to be on the team, that's incredible.
It was an amazing experience, man. There's nothing in the world like that. Running out people ask me all the time, like, well, what's the most nerve-wracking thing? Running out in front of 100,000 fans, being in a courtroom and, arguing in front of a jury or performing on stage. And it's like, God, they're all kind of, they all kind of feel the same, but nothing in the world feels like running out in front of 100,000 fans.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I mean, just, like I said, I went to the game and it was so cool. It was like you said, it's like a religious experience. It's just sure. Like, absolutely. I've never seen another sport where not one person out of everybody in the whole entire stands is wearing like the other team's jersey.
No, you can't wear the other color. You cannot. You
just like
think about what you're gonna wear before you leave the house.
Right.
So a week, you're like prepare what your outfit's gonna be.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I never really understood, like the tailgating experience until later. Because when you're at the game, you don't know
what's going on.
But outside of the game and the tailgating experience is even crazier. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people. I think it's like 400,000 people surrounding the stadium each game.
I'm not surprised. Like, it is so. Yeah, you go. Like, I remember we parked. I was with my uncle who went to Ohio State. So he because he went there, he gets like a certain amount of tickets a year, like a chance to buy tickets. So I think he can go to like 1 or 2 games because he went there.
Yeah.
So we went to the game, and we parked, and like, you're walking through like the neighborhoods that kind of surround the school where there's a bunch of just like those big houses that they break into like 4 sections to make, so 10 student housing units instead of like 4. Right. And all the kids are in the front yard drinking and like playing cornhole and everything else.
That's part of the experience. If you go to Ohio State, no matter how smart you are and what degree you're working toward, that is part of the experience that you cherish and you remember.
Oh yeah, it was. I was so jealous. I'm like, I wish I would have went to school here. Like, this just looks like it's so much fun.
It was a blast. I can't even lie to you. It was a blast.
Wow. And then so you ended up you're a lawyer too.
Yeah.
So from Ohio State, where did you go to law school?
I ended up moving to New York and went to NYU for law school. And it was interesting too because the reason why New York even got on my radar is my brother and my sister both moved to New York to pursue their careers. And so that's how New York even kind of got on my radar. And then obviously being having the goal of being an entertainer and an artist, York, being able to go to NYU and then being able to go to New York was like killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Sure.
So when I got there, I actually deferred law school for a year. I got in and then deferred for a year. So that full first year, I was literally just running around the city trying to figure out what everything was, who everybody was. I met so many people, got involved in throwing parties and stuff like that. I met a lot of people in the industry, did some modeling, did some acting, did some music. I was a video guy. I was in all the music videos. It was
cool.
I learned a ton that 1 year before I even started law school. But then I went to NYU, had a great experience there. A lot of people see like, how does that make sense? You're a lawyer, you're an artist. How do those things make sense? And interestingly enough, there's been a ton of overlap in my career as an artist with that in law, right? Being able to understand the contracts that I'm getting into, being able to negotiate my own contracts.
Yeah, that's huge.
Game changer. And then even if I can't do it myself, knowing who to pull in, right? Knowing people in the industry, having a network of who I can bring in to help me kind of do that. But I've been able to negotiate my own contracts with HBO and ESPN and Hard Knocks and
Oh wow! Did you get a part in Hard Knocks when they did the Browns?
Yeah, my song. I have an official Browns anthem. That was
"Rock for My Browns," right?
Yeah.
Oh man, I put that all together like after I started reading, like, because I listened to your songs and I'm like, okay, like cool, like some of his album covers he's got Ohio State on it. That's pretty cool. And then like when I started reading your press release and everything, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is all about the Browns.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I have a couple of songs that are literally just Browns anthems and Ohio State anthems that are like literally like
sick.
university and licensed by the Browns. And so they play them at the games and stuff like that too. So that was, and interestingly enough, that was something that also was birthed out of my experience as a lawyer. When I was working at a big corporate firm, I was working in what we call, intellectual property litigation. So intellectual property is generally patents, trademarks, and copyrights.
Oh, sure.
So one of the cases we were working on was like a music licensing case with, I think it was Real Networks, who was, not around anymore really like that, in Yahoo. And so I ended up learning about music licensing, what that even meant. And as an artist, especially an independent artist, you're trying to figure out all these different lanes. What are the lanes where I can actually make inroads, find fans, get exposure, and then also make some money, right?
Sure.
That's what kind of put me on to the idea of music licensing. So when I started pursuing my career on my own, music licensing was something that was always something that I knew I was going to try to pursue. And so that's what kind of sparked the idea initially as well.
Wow. Okay. That's so cool. And then that leads us to, like, you were doing that and just kind of releasing music while you were doing licensing. And obviously you were able to get these songs with the stadiums and with the show. And that's so incredible.
Yeah, it was cool. It was, as an independent artist too, you have to find a lane, and it's hard. Like, it's hard to get listened to. It's hard for people to even listen to your music. Even your friends, sometimes they won't listen,
Right.
So they see you on ESPN. They're like, oh, wait, I heard you on First Take this morning. Now they want to listen.
Now they care. Right.
Yeah. So it was like, so I you had to keep pushing and keep finding opportunities. And, I'd done big stuff. I mean, I was on MTV. I was MTV freshman. I won that award and they played my videos on that.
Oh, wow.
A long time, and did licensing with ESPN. I had licensed probably over a dozen songs to ESPN that they played during their broadcast. One of my songs, Real One, a couple years ago was ESPN First Take Song of the Month. So they play that every day on First Take. And
oh, that's so cool.
The bottom and all that type of stuff. And so it's a grind, but I ended up finding a lane that I think worked for me. And at least built my profile. So then, that wasn't the only, I didn't want to only be known for that type of music, but it at least helped build my profile and made people decide, okay, he's a real artist. I'm going to listen to him. And
sure.
Sometimes people want to see that cosign before they take you seriously.
Oh yeah, I know. That's like the hardest part, is to get people's like attention and like the credits kind of under your belt.
Yes, exactly.
That's amazing. And then you have a new song out called Still Dope, which is incredible. But I'm curious to so where were you when this whole like virus hit? Were you working on music? Were you working as a lawyer or doing a bit of everything?
I left the law firm in 2007 and I kind of never really looked back. I mean, I'd still maintained certain relationships and certain clients, and, I would dibble and dabble because I paid for that. So
exactly
abandoned completely.
Sure.
But I've really been focused on the music consistently since then. And so it was 2018. I had a song called Nip and Tuck that went viral because it had a dance challenge that a lot of these kids were doing across.
Wow. Okay. I want to hear about that.
Yeah. So it was like, and it wasn't even a specific dance. It was just that people just loved the song. The chorus said, "I'm feeling like $1,000,000." So like, that just gave people a certain type of energy. So you would see people on the beach, feeling like $1,000,000, wherever they were. And so that created like just, a huge kind of stir online. It was featured everywhere. I was traveling all over the country, performing everywhere. And so, that was like 2018. And then going into 2019, I had a follow-up song that I was going to release called Born to Win, with a video. Had these two like really famous twins that are in it, boxing twins. They're like 10 years old, from Philadelphia. Really, really cool. And in the beginning of January of 2019, I got in a car accident, or a car ran over my foot.
Oh my gosh.
Broke my foot, and that just crushed everything. I mean, literally slowed me down at the height of probably my career at that point. Tried to do some conservative treatment. It didn't really work. So I ended up having to have surgery. And that killed everything. And I was in New York. So you can imagine, trying to move around New York. I had a 2-year-old son, being in a boot and a knee scooter. And then I had my other foot started hurting. So I had a surgical shoe on this foot. It was just a disaster. So to be honest, I kind of gone into like a depression, because of who I've been and who I'd been for years, and trying to figure out who what do I do now? You know, what does this mean? Is this a sign of some sort? Is this a sign telling me like, look, this isn't what you need to be doing? Or is this a sign telling me, hey, this is the last obstacle that you have in front of you before you really make it? Do you really want this? I didn't know what it meant. And then it was just kind of like, it became overwhelming for me and my wife. And so we ended up moving back to Ohio because we needed help. You know, all my family was here. So that, and then shortly after that, the pandemic hit a couple of months later. So it was crazy. Like just being sat down literally because of the injury, and then kind of being sat down because of the pandemic. And it just, it caused a whole bunch of chaos in my life.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's, oh man. I know surgery. I've had 4 of them on my cervical spine. And it's quite it's definitely puts you in a depression, because if you're so used to just, you know, especially, I mean, your foot being so active and being an athlete, like to be totally stopped and be like, you know, you can't really move around anymore for a while at least. Like,
and then also it's like you realize how much you take for granted. Like, you know,
right.
Like the foot is the body, and it really is. Like, you know, just because the other thing is your feet. You know, you can't, like, if it's your arm, you can kind of not put weight on your arm and you can kind of heal.
Yeah, get around, right.
But how do you heal when it's your foot? Like, if you stand up, you're literally putting pressure on this very thing that you're not supposed to put pressure on. You know?
Sure. Yeah, you are literally like bedridden.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was,
my God.
That was a depression. And so during that period of time, I just was not connecting with music, you know.
Sure.
In terms of me being able to write, I wasn't able to write anything, and part of it was because I didn't feel like I had the inspiration. I didn't know what to write about, you know. I just left it alone. And ultimately, though, I think it was great for me, because what it led to was my new single, Still Dope. And what happened was, you know, as I was sitting down, basically literally sitting down because of
the injury.
And then the pandemic, being in quarantine, I started to, you know, reflect. And I think everybody did, right? Everybody kind of started to reflect on what is life? What is life supposed to mean? What does it mean for me? What do I want to do when we come out the other side of this thing? What's my purpose? All these different types of things. And it finally led me to, you know, one night I was just, you know, laying in bed, and I was scrolling through one of my friends who's a producer. His name's The Audio Unit. I was scrolling through some of his beats on his beat page. And I heard the beat for what's now Still Dope. And I was like really inspired by it. I was like, this is really, really sweet. So I started writing to it. And initially I started writing the song, and I was like, you know what I'm going to do? The song was called Still Dope always, but I was like,
oh, okay.
Let people know that just because you haven't heard from me in a couple of years doesn't mean I'm not still dope, you know?
Yeah, I love that.
But then I realized I took a step back, and I was like, no, that's not what this song is supposed to be. This song is actually supposed to be more general, more for the people, more for the energy to uplift people in their spirits and let them know that no matter what we're going through, we are still dope, right? And I was like, and maybe this is why I got sat down for a second, to make sure that I gain new perspective on the power of music and what I'm supposed to be putting out now, what people want to hear from me, given my, you know, background and given my experiences and my understanding and so on and so forth. And that's literally how the song got created. And it was the only song literally I've written in 2 years. But
wow.
It came to me like a water faucet. You know what I mean? Like it literally didn't take me long at all to write, because I feel like it was something that was really inside of me, you know?
That's amazing. And it's a killer song. I want to talk to you about the video. I saw the music video for it as well, which is amazing.
Yeah, the video was, so, you know, it's interesting because as a artist, you know, I'm also a business person too, right? So I think of things from both perspectives. I think of, okay, the art and the creation of the art, but also think about the promotion of the art and how to get people to connect to the message and all those type of things, right? So as I was, you know, writing the song, the imagery that I feel like I wanted to put out started to come to me kind of fairly vividly, right? And so that's when I called her my grandmother-in-law. That's who you hear at the beginning of the song.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, she's the oldest person I know, 84 years old. I've had tons of conversations with her about just history and Black history and just history repeating itself and all these type of things.
Sure.
So I'm gonna have her set the stage for the song, which I thought
love that.
was great. So she came in, and then I called in one of the top production companies in the Midwest that I've had a relationship with, and I was like, look, we got to put something together really official, right? This isn't, this can't just be your regular run-of-the-mill music video. This has to actually be impactful. I want this to be something that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, people can look at it and say, yo, this is still dope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Speak for itself.
Yeah. And so we were able to do that. And, we were able to get just really good imagery, put together a story that kind of told the story of, the struggle, the Black struggle in particular, what we've been through over, centuries and over different continents, so there's just imagery from people, from the Caribbean and Africa and, obviously all across the Americas. But I didn't want it to be something to offend, because it's not an offensive thing. I wanted it to be something that would inspire, that no matter who you are, you can look at this and say, wow, yeah, this is a really legit product. This is something that I can get behind. This is something that I can support. And so I am super excited for the video. I mean, I feel like it's one of those things, as an artist, you create a lot of stuff, and if you're being honest with yourself, like what's your better stuff and what's your worst.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I haven't felt this way about something in a very, very long time. Very long time.
Wow. Yeah. I like I said, I got a chance to see the video before you publish it, and it is really cool. It's really a great video.
I appreciate it. Yeah. And everyone who was a part of it, it was just good energy. And like I said, I just, this one for me it's interesting when you take, in rap, a lot of times you're talking about how dope you are, right? And how
right.
So a lot of times the videos reflect that, and you're trying to show how cool you are and all that type of stuff. But this was one that was literally where I felt like I was literally just kind of the vessel, right? The messenger. And so it wasn't really about me. Yeah, I'm in it, but the video is not about me. You know what I mean? Like you can see it's really about the people and the struggle and the message and the feeling of hope. And so I'm excited to just share it with the world and let it do what it does. I'm not concerned with the numbers and all that type of stuff, even though I'm sure it will do well. That's not why I did this. You understand? It's just
sure.
It's an opportunity to have impact, and that's, to me, is probably the most powerful thing about being an artist.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Are you working on any new music, or just really focusing on this one right now?
Really just focusing on this one right now. But it's interesting, since I released the song, my producers have been hitting me up like crazy, like, yo, the EP, let's get back in the studio. And so
right.
I'm more open now than I was before. I think my mind is clearer on, just in terms of what I want to do as an artist and what I want to put out. But I'm not putting any like specific like requirements on myself, like, yo, you got to put out something in now.
Sure.
You
2 weeks or this.
I'm not doing that. But at the same time, I'm definitely much more open now. So hopefully I can get back into the writing process, because I love to write too.
You're great at it as well. So I can't wait to hear I love like I said, the song Still Dope is so good, and the video as well. So
thank you.
Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I do have one more question before I let you go, Mekka. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yeah, I do. I think the number one piece of advice that I give, actually I have two pieces of advice. One is, if this is in your heart and you truly believe in it, then stay the course. Because, I had a mentor that told me one time, and I thought it was really good. He said, this game is kind of like a battle of attrition, right? There are a lot of people that, want to do it and are going to try to do it, but whoever can withstand the BS literally for the longest and just stay standing will eventually win. And then the second thing is focus on the fans. Find your fans, find the people that connect with what you're doing, and focus on them. If it's 5 people, focus on those 5 people. If it's 1,000 people, focus on them. I think a lot of times aspiring artists get so caught up in trying to be on, this top playlist on Spotify, or trying to be, and featured on this blog or whatever, that they don't focus on what really matters. It's the fans, and the fans are the ones that drive the industry. So if you focus on the fans and you stay the course, you'll be successful. Bring me back word.